Imagine walking into the most lavish baby shower you've ever seen. Crystal chandeliers twinkle above towers of pastel macarons. Designer goodie bags line each seat, and the guest list reads like a who's who of society's elite. But there's a dark secret shimmering beneath all that sparkle. The woman throwing this extravaganza is not the mother-to-be's best friend. She's the millionaire's mistress. And the mother-to-be? She's out of the picture, or so everyone thinks, until suddenly the doors swing open. In strides the real, pregnant wife, clutching a marriage license that's about to unravel every lie in this glitzy room. Welcome to the scandal. Damian Blackwell wasn't born into wealth. He fought for it with the kind of ruthless ambition that made him as feared as he was admired. Standing at 6 feet 2 inches with carefully styled jet black hair, Damian possessed an intensity that could either captivate or intimidate, depending on which side of his generosity you landed on. By age 35, he had turned a small real estate venture into a sprawling empire. His name was whispered at exclusive charity balls, and he was recognized by moguls in the business world. Tabloid columns loved to label him a self-made millionaire with a heart of stone. Yet society columns fawned over him as the unstoppable visionary on the rise. Despite the rumors swirling around him, people craved his presence. They invited him to their galas and philanthropic events, hoping a portion of his Midas touch might rub off. He'd appear in the company of A-list celebrities. Oprah Winfrey once interviewed him on a short segment, calling him the real deal, and he'd been spotted at a fundraiser sitting next to Bill Gates, discussing global real estate strategies. His was a name that opened doors, sealed deals, and turned heads. But behind a veneer of polished success lay a tangled personal life. Damian was married, though not everyone in his social circle knew it. And he also had a mistress, a younger woman named Charmaine Delgado, who was cunning enough to stand by his side when it mattered and discreet enough to remain in the shadows until she chose not to. It all began one deceptively quiet morning in their New York penthouse. Damian, sipping his black coffee, looked over spreadsheets of property acquisitions. Charmaine, flipping through a luxury magazine, let her eyes linger on an article about extravagant parties. A dazzling idea began to form in her mind that would soon lead to chaos. The quiet secret of Damian's life was his marriage to Elizabeth Redwood. At 28, Elizabeth exuded a calm, regal grace. She had grown up in a well-respected family in Boston. Her father, Jonathan Redwood, was a high-powered attorney, and her mother, Catherine Redwood, was a socialite renowned for her philanthropic work. Unlike Damian, Elizabeth had come from money, but she carried her privilege with humility. She taught underprivileged children art in a non-profit school. Their marriage was intentionally low-key. Elizabeth had never been one for public fanfare, and Damian was all too willing to keep his personal life private to protect his empire from scrutiny. Over the years, they had cultivated an image of a silent, behind-the-scenes couple, rarely photographed together, rarely attending events hand-in-hand. Some thought they were just close business partners. Others assumed they had parted ways. Only a few intimates knew the truth. But Elizabeth was pregnant, something she had confided only in her close friend, Bella Thompson. They were planning to tell the world in their own time, but the pregnancy was a delicate matter. She had suffered 2 miscarriages in the past, and the heartbreak had made her cautious. So, Elizabeth kept a low profile, preferring to rest in the couple's quiet Connecticut estate rather than remain in the hustle and bustle of the city. Damian's visits to Connecticut had grown infrequent. The demands of his business took him overseas, or so he said. Elizabeth trusted him mostly. She had chosen to focus on her health, certain that once the baby arrived, their marriage would find renewed purpose. What she didn't know was that Damian wasn't merely away on business. He was in Manhattan, often with Charmaine Delgado on his arm. And Charmaine was hatching a plan that would rattle the foundations of everything Elizabeth believed about her marriage. Charmaine Delgado was a woman who knew how to make an entrance. With chestnut brown hair styled in sleek waves, impeccable designer outfits, and a fierce determination in her hazel eyes, she had carved out a place for herself in high society, albeit on the margins of respectability. People whispered that she was Damian's mistress, But they also noticed that her circle included the wives of major hedge fund managers, fashion influencers, and even small-time celebrities who adored her lavish dinner parties. She wasn't satisfied with being a well-kept secret. Her ultimate goal was to become the next Mrs. Blackwell. She loved the taste of power she enjoyed at Damien's side, the exclusive events he brought her to under the pretense of a business associate, the hush money, the compliments. She wanted more than stolen weekends in a Paris penthouse or summers at a Tuscan villa. She longed to replace Elizabeth Redwood, whom she considered dull and undeserving of the empire Damien was building. Have you thought about throwing a party? Charmaine cooed one morning as she lounged in Damien's penthouse, the city skyline glittering behind her. A big one with all the right people. It could be a statement event, maybe a fundraiser for your new philanthropic arm. Damien, engrossed in a financial report, merely raised an eyebrow. You know those events are important, but we have an entire PR team that organizes them. I don't need more noise around me. She persisted. We need to show the world you're a man of the people, not just a cutthroat dealmaker. And you know I can handle the logistics. Our friend Ariana Roswell from the Van Cleef and Arpels brand could sponsor part of it. It'll be huge, darling. He shrugged. I'll consider it. Right now, I'm more focused on finalizing a land acquisition in Dubai. But that was just the first step of Charmaine's plan. She knew a single social event wouldn't be enough to stir up the scandal that might eventually push Elizabeth aside. She needed something bigger, something personal, and an opportunity was about to present itself in the most unexpected way. Miles away, Elizabeth Redwood was experiencing a new wave of morning sickness in the Connecticut estate. Damien's presence had dwindled to phone calls and text messages. They were cordial, affectionate even, but detached. He assured her he was overworked and traveling internationally, promising that once his deals were settled, he'd be back for a calm, quiet life together, especially when the baby arrived. Late one night, Elizabeth felt an unsettling pang in her chest that had nothing to do with pregnancy. It was a sense that something was off. Her friend Bella had dropped by earlier in the day, showing her social media photos from a party Charmaine Delgado had thrown. Charmaine's Instagram stories were suspiciously replete with hints of a wealthy backer, and the location was suspiciously similar to a penthouse Elizabeth recognized as one of Damien's properties in Manhattan. Elizabeth tried to stifle the jealousy, telling herself that this was just a business associate hosting a private function, but the uneasy feeling refused to go away. After all, rumors about an affair had trickled through her social circle for some time, but she had always dismissed them as petty gossip. Now, the evidence was piling up, pictures of Charmaine in lavish settings that Elizabeth knew only Damien could access. She placed a hand on her small baby bump. The child's gentle fluttering in her womb felt like both a promise and a reminder. She and Damien were a family. They had a future. I have to trust him, she told herself. Stress is the last thing I need right now. But doubt is a seed that, once planted, grows rapidly, especially in the lonely quiet of a large estate where your husband's presence is rare. One drizzly afternoon, Charmaine discovered the depth of Damien's secret. It was a single oversight on his part. He had left a series of open messages on his laptop while he stepped away to answer a phone call. Charmaine saw a digital note from Damien's assistant congratulating him on his wife's pregnancy. Charmaine's heart clenched. She knew Elizabeth existed, but she hadn't realized Elizabeth was pregnant. Jealous fury simmered beneath her carefully poised exterior. She paced the penthouse, chewing on her glossed lip, her eyes narrowed. He's going to have a baby with that woman, she hissed under her breath. What about me? But soon, a twisted idea formed in her cunning mind. She decided to use this pregnancy to her advantage. If she could insert herself into the baby's life, she might become indispensable. And so, she hatched a plan so audacious it felt almost delirious. Host a baby shower for Elizabeth. Yes, but a shower secretly orchestrated by Charmaine herself and used as a platform to humiliate the pregnant wife or force a confrontation in public. She cornered Damien one evening with a proposition. You never do anything big for Elizabeth, she said sweetly. Why don't we celebrate her pregnancy? It'll be good PR. Everyone in your social circle will know you're a family man, committed to your wife. He stiffened. Elizabeth is very private. Besides, she's in Connecticut, and you know she's had complications before. She wouldn't want a big show. Oh, hush, Charmaine insisted. We'll make it a small, intimate affair. A high-end baby shower with carefully vetted guests. I'll handle everything discreetly. It'll be a great show of unity, especially for the tabloids. You could even do it at one of your properties to keep it private. Damien frowned, torn. I don't think Elizabeth would appreciate it if a stranger organizes her baby shower. Charmaine placed a manicured hand on his shoulder. Sweetheart, you need to show support for your wife. Let me help. I'll ensure it's tasteful. No press, just close friends. I'll do all the heavy lifting. Besides, she added, her eyes sparkling with a hidden motive, if you throw a shower for her, it'll erase all those silly rumors about me and you. It was a chance to stake her claim in his life, to show Elizabeth and the world that she was more than just a rumor. Damien was reluctant, but eventually conceded, thinking it might indeed quell whispers of scandal if there appeared to be a friendly relationship between the two women. Charmaine couldn't help but smirk when he agreed. She quickly sent out invitations, making sure to invite only select members of high society and a few of Elizabeth's distant acquaintances. She didn't invite Elizabeth's family or closest friends. She wanted to keep the event's planning under her strict control. News of the upcoming baby shower spread quietly through upper-crust circles, almost as if it were a secret event for the select few. Elizabeth heard about it from Bella Thompson, who received an invitation by email. Elizabeth's confusion grew. A baby shower hosted by Charmaine Delgado? The name alone made her heart skip a beat. Instead of confronting Damien directly, Elizabeth decided to keep her composure. She confronted him calmly on a phone call. Why is Charmaine Delgado organizing my baby shower? Damien cleared his throat, his tone reassuring. I wanted to do something special for you. Charmaine volunteered. She's helping me out. I have so many business commitments, and, she's got connections in event planning circles. She promised it would be small and refined. Elizabeth's gut twisted, but a part of her wanted to believe he was telling the truth, that Charmaine was merely a helpful business associate. She grudgingly agreed to attend, if only to avoid stress and hope for the best. After all, she had always wanted a moment to celebrate her pregnancy with friends. Maybe this was an olive branch. Maybe it would help her and Damien reconnect. But behind the scenes, Charmaine pulled every string to make this baby shower a spectacle. She selected an opulent venue, a palatial rooftop terrace belonging to one of Damien's real estate partners, overlooking Central Park. She ordered pastel floral arrangements, with towering centerpieces of orchids and roses imported from a prestigious florist in Paris. There would be a harpist, a string quartet, an array of gourmet amuse-bouche, and a cake so lavish it rivaled wedding tears. In the hush of her private thoughts, Charmaine planned her own unveiling. She would arrive looking stunning, the perfect hostess. She'd drop hints about her closeness with Damien to unnerve Elizabeth. And if all went according to plan, Elizabeth would be so overwhelmed she might even retreat, leaving Charmaine to bask in Damien's spotlight. As the date of the shower approached, Elizabeth felt an unshakable anxiety. She was 7 months pregnant, trying to remain calm for the sake of the baby. Bella accompanied her to Manhattan, insisting she shouldn't go alone given her fragile emotional state. They arrived at the luxury hotel where Damien had booked them suite. When Elizabeth entered the penthouse suite, she found a note from Damien apologizing that he wouldn't be able to join her immediately. He had an urgent business dinner. She sank into the plush sofa, tears threatening. Her hand instinctively rested on her belly, feeling the baby's gentle kicks. Bella poured her a glass of sparkling water. Damien's being distant again, Bella said softly. Do you trust him, Lizzie? Elizabeth blinked back tears. I'm trying to. Everything is so confusing right now. He insists he loves me, wants this baby. Yet I see Charmaine in all his public appearances. And now she's hosting my baby shower. Bella offered a reassuring arm around her shoulder. Tomorrow, you'll see the truth. Sometimes you need to look your fears in the eye. If something is off, I'll be right there to support you. That night, Elizabeth couldn't sleep. She thought of her father's disapproving glance whenever the subject of Damien arose, and recalled how her mother once gently hinted that Damien's lifestyle might not mesh well with a stable marriage. Elizabeth had defended him passionately, saying he was just driven, not unfaithful. Now, her worst suspicions were creeping in. Could Charmaine Delgado be more than just a helpful business associate? A brilliant late-morning sun bathed the rooftop terrace in golden light. The next day, waitstaff wearing crisp white uniforms circulated silver trays of champagne flutes, fresh squeezed juices, and hors d'oeuvres. Guests trickled in, each more glamorous than the last. The decor was a pastel dreamscape, delicate pink, mint, and lavender ribbons dangling from tall arches of greenery. A harpist plucked gentle tunes in the corner. Charmaine Delgado made her entrance in a sleek mauve cocktail dress with diamond accents. Heads turned. She was radiant, playing the role of the gracious hostess to perfection, greeting influential socialites and business figures with warm smiles. She seemed to relish every polite question about her connection to the Blackwells. Her eyes roved over the crowd, waiting for Elizabeth. After a tense elevator ride, Elizabeth arrived on the rooftop, escorted by Bella. The moment Elizabeth stepped onto the terrace, a hush fell, followed by murmurs of admiration. She wore a flowing cream maternity gown, her face glowing despite her anxious heart. She placed a protective hand over her baby bump. Charmaine approached with outstretched arms, her smile a calculated blend of warmth and condescension. "Elizabeth, darling, I'm so glad you made it. I've been dying to meet you in person." Elizabeth plastered on a polite smile. "Thank you for hosting this. It's quite lovely. I wanted to honor the mother of Damien's child." Charmaine emphasized the name with a slight smirk. "He's told me so much about you. We must chat more later, once you've greeted all these lovely guests." Elizabeth nodded, her brow furrowing. As she glanced around, she noticed many faces. Some were her distant acquaintances, others complete strangers. Few of her real friends were here. It felt like Charmaine's friends, Charmaine's alliances. Elizabeth suddenly felt alien in what should have been her moment. Across the terrace, a small group of women huddled together, whispering and glancing at Elizabeth. She felt the sting of their judgment. Rumors about Charmaine's relationship with Damien had clearly reached these circles, and many were watching to see how Elizabeth would react. Damien himself was noticeably absent. An hour into the festivities, Elizabeth tried to make the best of it. She politely thanked each guest for coming, endured the cooing over baby gifts, and fielded vague compliments about how lucky she was to have such a supportive friend in Charmaine. Bella hovered protectively nearby, noticing the forced smiles and the subtle slights. "Lizzie, do you want to sit down?" Bella asked gently. "You look pale." Elizabeth felt overheated, but she forced a reassuring smile. "I'm fine. Just need a bit of water." Bella guided her to a seat. As a waiter brought over a glass of ice water, Charmaine reappeared, dragging along a tall woman named Harriet Mallister, a flamboyant gossip columnist for one of the city's scandal rags. Harriet was known for her sharp tongue and sensational headlines. She was exactly the kind of presence Elizabeth had wanted to avoid. "Elizabeth, darling," Charmaine purred. "Harriet here would love a quick chat about your plans once the baby arrives. She's a dear friend and does these wonderful pieces on society families." Elizabeth's stomach churned. She felt cornered. She recognized Harriet's byline stories about extramarital affairs, hidden marriages, and loved children that sold out tabloids. With a forced graciousness, Elizabeth offered a handshake. "Pleasure to meet you." Harriet's lipstick grin was disarming. "My readers would be thrilled to know about your journey. We rarely see you in public. Are you hoping to step into more philanthropic work after the baby?" Elizabeth recalled her ongoing involvement with children's art education. "I've always been philanthropic, Harriet. My work with underprivileged children is where my heart lies." Harriet's gaze flickered to Charmaine, as if searching for a bigger story. "And how has Ms. Delgado here helped you prepare for motherhood?" Elizabeth swallowed her discomfort. "She's kindly hosting this shower. It's very thoughtful of her." Charmaine smirked, hooking an arm around Harriet's. "Damien trusts me implicitly with these sorts of things." We've collaborated on many projects. Elizabeth's heart hammered. She wanted to scream. Instead, she smiled politely, feeling a swirl of nausea. Harriet's eyes gleamed, sensing tension. Well, I look forward to writing something wonderful, Harriet said, in a tone that implied she wanted to dig up drama. Thank you both. As Harriet wandered away, Charmaine leaned in close to Elizabeth, her lips curling in a mocking smile. You must be so exhausted. Sure you can handle all this excitement, dear? Elizabeth met her gaze firmly. I'm fine. I hope Damien arrives soon. This is, after all, our baby shower. Charmaine's eyebrows arched, a spark of triumph in her eyes. Oh, he'll be here. Don't worry. He wouldn't miss his own event. From across the terrace, Bella flashed Elizabeth a worried look. Something was brewing, and they both sensed that Charmaine had not yet played her final card. Mid-afternoon, a wave of murmuring swept through the guests. Damien Blackwell entered, flanked by a couple of his business associates. He wore a tailored charcoal suit, exuding confidence even as tension pinched the corners of his mouth. Elizabeth mustered a smile as she approached him. He leaned down to kiss her cheek, whispering, "You look beautiful." She forced a smile in return. "Thank you." Without missing a beat, Charmaine swooped in, greeting Damien with an intimate hug that lingered too long. Elizabeth's jaw tightened. Some guests averted their eyes uncomfortably. Others watched eagerly for signs of drama. Damien cleared his throat. "Charmaine, you've outdone yourself. This is spectacular." She beamed. "Only the best for your wife." Her lips curved at the word, as though it were a faint insult. "Now, dear guests," Charmaine said, raising her voice to gather attention. "May I have everyone's attention for a moment? We have a very special surprise planned for Elizabeth and Damien." Two waiters wheeled out a multi-tiered cake adorned with sugar roses and a shining gold bee for baby Blackwell. Gasps of admiration rose among the guests. Charmaine continued, "This baby represents a new chapter in the Blackwell legacy. We all know Damien is a man of ambition and power, but behind every great man is a great woman. Or so they say. Elizabeth, you're carrying his pride and joy, his future heir." Elizabeth swallowed, bracing for the spotlight. She felt a wave of relief that at least, in this moment, Charmaine's speech sounded oddly supportive. But then Charmaine's gaze flicked to Harriet Mallister in the crowd. "Sometimes," Charmaine said, "the greatest test of love is how we handle adversity. And I think we all need to raise a toast to that. Because it's not just about the baby. It's about forging a future that might change the face of the Blackwell Empire forever." A hush fell as glasses were lifted. Elizabeth felt something ominous in Charmaine's words. Damien's expression was inscrutable, yet a slight twitch in his jaw betrayed tension. "Cheers," Charmaine declared, her eyes flashing with triumphant challenge. Glasses clinked, but no one seemed entirely at ease. It was as though the moment was waiting for something to drop, like the hush before a devastating storm. The cake was sliced. The harpist played softly, and guests milled about in the golden glow of early evening. Bella pulled Elizabeth aside gently, pressing a crisp document into her hand. "Lizzie, this came by courier for you at the hotel front desk. It's from your father." Puzzled, Elizabeth unfolded the paper. Her eyes scanned over a statement from her father's attorney, referencing property transactions tied to Damien and a Charmaine Delgado, purchased under a shell corporation. Elizabeth's heart stuttered. So it was true. He was financially supporting Charmaine in more ways than a simple fling. There was mention of a property in Paris, high-end jewelry acquisitions, and hush money payments disguised as consulting fees. Tears pricked Elizabeth's eyes. Her father had, in his own cautious way, tried to protect her. This document spelled out a betrayal more devastating than any rumor. She glanced at Bella, who squeezed her hand in support. Elizabeth took a steadying breath. "I need to confront him. Now." Leaving Bella behind, Elizabeth navigated through the throng of guests. She found Damien alone near the bar. His phone buzzed on the counter beside him. He looked anxious, swirling the amber liquid in his glass. She handed him the document, her voice quivering. "Damien, what is this?" He scanned the pages, color draining from his face. Elizabeth, I can explain. Her voice rose, trembling with anger and heartbreak. Explain how you're buying properties for this woman while I'm at home pregnant with your child. How many lies have I believed? Were you ever traveling on business? Or just off with her? He tried to grab her hand, but she recoiled. It's complicated. I was trying to protect you, the baby. My deals are huge. They require alliances. Charmaine was. Elizabeth's eyes glistened. You used me. I was carrying your child, hoping we'd be a real family, and you've been building a future with her. A hush spread as guests nearby picked up on the argument. Charmaine, across the terrace, watched like a hawk, her lips curving into a small smile. Damien struggled for composure, but the tension in the air crackled. Elizabeth turned away, tears streaming. She was about to flee when Charmaine made her final move. Charmaine approached, feigning concern. Elizabeth, darling, is something wrong? Elizabeth glared at her. Don't darling me. You know exactly what you've done. Damien looked on helplessly. Charmaine batted her lashes, turning to the onlooking crowd. My friends, please, let's give Damien and Elizabeth some space. Then, in a lower voice, she added, we're all on the same side, right? This is Damien's baby, after all. Elizabeth's voice cracked. You have no business in my marriage. Charmaine smirked. I hate to be the bearer of difficult news, but you might want to brace yourself. She placed a hand on her own stomach. Because I'm pregnant, too. Gasps rippled through the guests like an electric shock. Elizabeth's face went ghostly pale. The words seemed to echo, bouncing off the marble columns of the terrace. Damien's eyes widened in horror. What? Elizabeth breathed, barely able to stand. Bella rushed to her side, supporting her. Charmaine's smirk deepened. Surprised? Damien is going to be the father of my child. That's the real reason I planned this shower. A test run, if you will, for the bigger celebration. A mixture of shock and revulsion spread across the guests. Harriet Mallister had her phone out, already taking notes for a sensational article. Elizabeth's trembling hand rested on her own belly. The heartbreak was overwhelming. She thought of the many nights she prayed for this pregnancy to be safe, while her husband created a new life with Charmaine. The betrayal was too immense to put into words. Damien looked trapped, like a man whose secrets had finally caught up to him. Charmaine, he hissed. You said you wouldn't. She flipped her hair, triumphantly. I changed my mind. You can't sweep me under the rug anymore, Damien. Especially not when I'm carrying your child. Everyone here deserves to know the truth. Elizabeth's legs weakened, and Bella guided her to a chair. The crescendo of scandalous whispers rose around them. For a moment, Elizabeth's world spun. Quietly, deliberately, Elizabeth stood again. She locked eyes with Charmaine, then glared at Damien. Her anger surged, adrenaline fueling her. She reached into her small clutch and pulled out a document, her official marriage license to Damien, along with a copy of their wedding certificate, sealed and signed by the state of Massachusetts. She raised her voice with as much composure as she could muster. You think you can come into my baby shower, my life, and pretend you have some rightful claim to my husband? Let me make something clear to everyone here. I am Mrs. Elizabeth Redwood Blackwell, and that is not changing unless I say so. She held the documents up for the onlookers to see. This is our marriage license, and we are legally married. This scandal you're trying to create will not erase that fact. Charmaine's composure wavered for a second, but she quickly regained her smugness. Legally married or not, I'm carrying his child. That's a bond you can't break. Elizabeth's tears were gone, replaced by the fierce protectiveness of a mother. Get out of my face. Damien tried to step between them. Both of you calm down. This is not the place for. Elizabeth turned on him with fury in her eyes. Not the place, Damien? You let your mistress plan my baby shower. You humiliated me in front of all these people. You might have impregnated her too, and you have the audacity to say, this is not the place? He reached for her hand, but she pulled away. The tension in the air was suffocating. Harriet, phone in hand, was practically salivating at the unfolding drama. The hush gave way to frantic whispers. Some guests discreetly slipped away, wanting no part in the public meltdown. Others stayed transfixed, as though watching a train wreck they couldn't turn away from. Elizabeth staggered, pressing a hand to her belly. Bella, alarmed, quickly came forward. "We need to get you out of here, Lizzie." Charmaine sneered. "Oh, the poor dear. Maybe next time she won't be so self-righteous when she's married to a man who can't stay faithful." Elizabeth's voice trembled with outrage. "If I wasn't pregnant, I'd slap you right now." Bella, furious, snapped. "Let's go, Lizzie. This isn't worth risking your health." They made their exit, the stunned crowd parting like the Red Sea to let the pregnant wife pass. Charmaine's lips formed a triumphant smirk, as though she had won something. But in truth, she had just ignited a scandal that would haunt all three of them. Damien hesitated a moment, torn between chasing Elizabeth and dealing with Charmaine. Ultimately, he rushed after his wife, leaving Charmaine in the middle of the shell-shocked guests. Harriet Mallister wasted no time snapping a covert photo of Charmaine's smug face. Later that evening, social media was ablaze with rumors of the fiasco. Several guests posted cryptic updates. "Never seen a baby shower end with such fireworks." Harriet Mallister teased a big expose, fueling interest in every corner of Manhattan high society. Back in the penthouse hotel suite, Elizabeth was inconsolable. She had locked herself in the bedroom while Bella tried to calm her down, urging her to rest, to think of the baby. When Damien arrived, Bella blocked his entrance. "Lizzie doesn't want to see you right now." Damien spoke in a low, urgent voice. "I need to explain." "Please, Bella." Bella's eyes flashed with protective fury. "Explain what?" "How you lied to her for months. How you not only cheated on her, but let your mistress host her baby shower. Just go, Damien. You've done enough." The door cracked open. Elizabeth's voice, weak from crying, emerged. "Let him in, Bella. I need to hear what he has to say." Reluctantly, Bella stepped aside. Damien entered and found Elizabeth sitting on the edge of the bed, her eyes red, a box of tissues at her side. "Lizzie," he began softly, "I'm sorry. I never wanted this to happen." "Charmaine, well, she was more than a fling, but never meant to replace you." She looked up, anger and heartbreak shining in her eyes. "Is she really pregnant?" He hesitated. "She says she is, but I haven't seen any medical proof. She blindsided me, too. I swear I never intended for that to happen." Elizabeth let out a bitter laugh. "So it's a possibility. I was home carrying our child while you were off impregnating someone else." He sank to his knees beside her. "There's no excuse. The truth is, I got caught up. I was lonely traveling, dealing with pressure. We drifted apart, and Charmaine was available. I'm so sorry." Tears streaked her face. "Lonely? I was lonely, too. I lost 2 babies before this one. Remember? I needed you, Damien." His voice cracked. "I know, Lizzie. I failed you, and I'll spend the rest of my life making it right if you let me." She stared at him, an ocean of hurt welling in her eyes. "Right now, I need space. I need to protect my baby. I don't know if I can ever trust you again." Bella re-entered, guiding Elizabeth into the next room. "She needs rest. Damien, you should go." Damien stood, realizing the gravity of what he might lose. "Lizzie, I love you. I love our child. I promise whatever it takes." His voice trailed off. Elizabeth turned away, tears dripping from her chin. "Just leave." While Elizabeth tried to recover from the emotional blow, Charmaine reveled in the aftermath. She sat in her own luxury apartment, scanning gossip websites. They'd already begun posting sensational headlines. Millionaire real estate mogul faces baby shower scandal. 2 women, 1 baby. Or 2. She sipped champagne, smiling at the tabloid photos. One showed a tear-streaked Elizabeth holding the marriage license aloft. Another captured Charmaine's triumphant smirk. But her phone rang with an unexpected call. It was Gerald Anderson, one of Damien's close business associates, an older man who had brokered many of Damien's biggest deals. Charmaine answered playfully. "Gerald, darling, calling to congratulate me." Gerald's tone was ice. "You've made a spectacle of yourself and Damien. This fiasco is dangerous for the company. The board is worried about negative press. Damien's deals in Asia are already wavering. Investors don't like scandal. Charmaine rolled her eyes. Tell them to relax. All publicity is good publicity. People will forget in a week. Gerald's voice hardened. Not this time. Your stunts might cost billions. Damien's name is on the line, and so is yours if you keep pushing this. I'd advise you to disappear quietly or face legal consequences. Charmaine bristled. Legal consequences? For carrying his child? Don't be absurd. I have my own resources. Damien won't let anything happen to me or the baby. Gerald's laugh was humorless. You're naive if you think he'll jeopardize his empire for you. My recommendation, lie low, handle this discreetly, and pray that Elizabeth doesn't drag you through court. That would be a bloodbath you can't win. The line went dead. Charmaine's smirk wavered. She realized with a chill that no matter how cunning she was, she might be playing a game against forces far larger and more ruthless. Still, she refused to be intimidated. Damien might be the father of her unborn child if she was indeed pregnant, and she intended to leverage that to her greatest advantage. Days turned into a week, and the scandal didn't die down as Charmaine had predicted. If anything, it spread further. Media outlets that usually stayed away from private affairs devoured the story. Online forums buzzed with speculation. Damien's reputation took a hit, and so did the share price of some of his companies. In Connecticut, Elizabeth tried to find solace. She spent hours in her art studio, painting her emotion swirls of dark blues and fiery oranges depicting her turmoil. Bella stayed with her, ensuring she ate and rested. Late one afternoon, her father, Jonathan Redwood, arrived. He was a tall, stern man who rarely showed emotion. When Elizabeth saw him step into her living room, she burst into tears. She was Daddy's little girl, and her heartbreak was palpable. He held her gently. I'm here now, Lizzie. We'll fix this. Through sobs, she recounted everything. The baby shower, Charmaine's bombshell, the public humiliation. Jonathan listened quietly, anger flashing in his eyes. It's time to think about your future, not just your marriage, he said in a measured tone. Damien's not the only one who can protect you financially. You have your trust fund, and your mother and I will support you. If you want a divorce, we'll ensure you and the baby are taken care of. Elizabeth's lips trembled. I love him, Dad, but I can't be with someone who betrays me. Not if he won't change. I have to put my baby first. He squeezed her shoulder. Your mother and I stand behind you. We'll consult with top lawyers. Whether you want a settlement or full custody, we'll figure this out. Elizabeth took a shaking breath. I just need time to think. I don't want a drawn-out court battle. It's too much stress for the baby. But I won't let Charmaine ruin my life. Her father nodded. Take all the time you need. We'll keep your options open. In that moment, Elizabeth felt a seed of strength. She might have lost faith in her marriage, but she wasn't helpless. She had her own resources and a powerful family behind her. She vowed not to let her child suffer because of Damien's mistakes. Meanwhile, Damien scrambled to contain the fallout. He held emergency meetings with his PR team and business partners. They devised a strategy to minimize damage, releasing a statement that personal matters are being handled privately and urging the media to respect the family's privacy. But the tabloids thrived on scandal, and every new rumor about Charmaine's alleged pregnancy fueled more headlines. Damien left countless voicemails for Elizabeth. She rarely answered, speaking only when absolutely necessary, mostly about her doctor's appointments. Desperate, he drove to Connecticut unannounced, ignoring his schedule of business calls. He found Elizabeth in the backyard garden, tending to a patch of hydrangeas. She looked serene, though heartbreak lingered in her eyes. Bella, seeing Damien approach, quietly slipped inside. Elizabeth rose, wiping her hands. Damien, he swallowed hard. Lizzie, I know you need space, but I had to see you. She shrugged. I'm guessing your board is demanding that you fix this mess. He sighed. They are. But that's not why I'm here. This is about us, our baby. I'm sorry I let Charmaine get so close. I was an idiot letting her host that shower. And if she's really pregnant, I'll deal with it. Elizabeth inhaled slowly, the weight of her sorrow evident. I'm not sure there's an us to fix anymore, Damien. You humiliated me. You lied. You might have fathered another child. How do we come back from that? He stepped closer, his voice cracking. By remembering what we had, what we still have. We've always been there for each other, especially after our miscarriages. Don't let Charmaine's scheming tear us apart. Elizabeth bit her lip. Memories of their wedding day fluttered in her mind, the quiet vows, the sense of hope. Could she forgive him? Finally, she spoke. I can't just snap my fingers and pretend everything's okay. I need to see you genuinely change. I won't raise this baby in a broken home, but I also won't let you walk in and out as you please. It's all or nothing. He nodded, tears gleaming in his eyes. I understand. Whatever it takes, I'll do it. I'll cut Charmaine out of my life if that's what you want. Elizabeth's gaze turned steely. What if she's pregnant with your child? You can't just walk away from that responsibility. Damien looked pained. I'll provide for that child, but that doesn't mean I have to be with her. I want my family with you. Elizabeth's throat tightened. Show me you mean it. Because if this is another lie, Damien, I promise you, I will walk away for good. A week later, a private meeting was arranged. Elizabeth insisted on seeing Charmaine's proof of pregnancy before making any decisions. Charmaine agreed, likely eager to flaunt her hold over Damien. They chose a neutral location, Gerald Anderson's stately townhouse in the Upper East Side, away from prying paparazzi cameras. Elizabeth brought Bella and her father. Damien arrived with 2 of his lawyers. Charmaine came with a small entourage, including a self-proclaimed celebrity attorney known for high-profile cases. The tension was thick. Jonathan Redwood set the tone. We are here to determine if Ms. Delgado is truly carrying Damien's child. If so, we'll discuss necessary arrangements and responsibilities. If not, we'll consider legal action for defamation and emotional distress. Charmaine, wearing a fitted designer dress that showed only a slight curvature at her stomach, crossed her legs confidently. How dare you threaten me? I have every right to be here to claim what's mine. One of Damien's lawyers interjected. We have a doctor on standby to conduct the appropriate blood tests and ultrasound. You agreed to this, Miss Delgado? Charmaine hesitated. I want my own doctor, someone I trust. Jonathan Redwood shook his head. We'll have an impartial physician. One neither side can manipulate. If you refuse, we'll assume you're lying. Charmaine's eyes flicked to Damien. You do this to me? Doubt my word. He sighed. You've given me every reason to doubt you, Charmaine. I need proof. She glowered, but eventually relented with a shrug of feigned indifference. Fine, test me. But when it comes back positive, you'll regret questioning me. The group moved to a private office where a discreet physician waited. Under watchful eyes, Charmaine underwent a brief ultrasound and blood draw. The tension was palpable as they waited. Damien stood beside Elizabeth, glancing anxiously between her and Charmaine. Bella and Jonathan Redwood watched from the corner, arms folded in silent judgment. When the doctor completed the ultrasound, the screen showed a small embryo, clearly visible, measuring about 9 weeks. Charmaine wasn't lying about being pregnant. The hush in the room deepened. A tear slipped down Elizabeth's cheek. Damien closed his eyes, exhaling a shaky breath. Charmaine sent them both a triumphant smile. Told you. The group reconvened in the townhouse parlor. The doctor confirmed, Ms. Delgado is indeed pregnant, approximately 9 weeks along. Further blood tests will confirm paternity, though Ms. Delgado states Mr. Blackwell is the father. Elizabeth felt her world tilt again. Damien swallowed, looking at Elizabeth with pure guilt. Charmaine smirked at them both, an air of victory radiating from her. Confronted with the undeniable reality, Elizabeth felt a crushing weight descend upon her. She excused herself from the tense meeting, stepping out into the townhouse garden. The gentle sound of a fountain trickled over the hush of thick hedges. She tried to steady her breathing, fighting tears. Damien found her there, carefully approaching. Lizzie, his voice trembled with heartbreak and regret. I'm so sorry. She turned, her eyes blazing with pain. You've saddled me with a lifetime of sharing you with that woman and a child that's not mine. Do you realize how devastating this is? He reached for her hand, his voice thick with remorse. All I can do is own my mistake. I don't want to lose you. Let me prove to you that I could be the husband and father you deserve." Elizabeth's tears flowed freely. The child in her womb kicked as if sensing her distress. "I don't want my baby to grow up in a broken home, but I refuse to be in a marriage with 3 people." He squeezed her hand gently. "I'll handle everything with Charmaine. We'll set up a trust for her child, ensure financial security. But my home is with you and our baby." She pulled away. "Words aren't enough anymore, Damien. Show me through your actions. I'm staying in Connecticut until I decide what's best for me and the baby." He nodded, tears glistening. "I understand." With that, they returned inside. Jonathan Redwood gave Charmaine a cold stare. "We'll be in touch regarding legal arrangements. Until then, do not contact my daughter directly. Any communication goes through me or her attorneys." Charmaine flipped her hair. "Damien, you know how to reach me if you need anything, especially with the baby's appointments." Elizabeth's heart clenched. Without another word, she left, followed by Bella and her father. Damien lingered behind, a silent desperation in his eyes. The lines had been drawn. As Elizabeth neared her due date, she summoned Damien to Connecticut for a final decision. They sat in the sunroom, where afternoon light filtered through tall windows. "I love you," she began, her voice calm but resolute. "But if I stay, I need to know Charmaine is out of our lives in every possible way, except for the child you'll need to support. That's unavoidable. But I will not have her at family events, in our homes, or near me." Damien's eyes brimmed with tears. "I swear, Lizzie, I'll do whatever it takes. I made a catastrophic mistake, but I refuse to lose you because of it." "She's going to hold this child over your head," Elizabeth said, her voice trembling. "If it becomes too toxic, I'm gone." "I understand," he nodded. "I'll sign any legal agreement you want. No personal involvement." "I'm giving you one last chance, Damien," she whispered. "Don't betray me again." He knelt before her, placing a hand on her belly. "Thank you," he whispered, "for giving me a chance to be a better man for our baby." She placed her hand over his. "Don't waste it." A month later, a healthy baby girl was delivered, wailing with robust life. Damien broke down in tears when he first held his daughter, whispering thanks and apologies to Elizabeth. In that moment, a fragile sense of unity was born. True to his word, Damien began to change. He sold the Manhattan penthouse, the site of his affair, and moved his primary office closer to their Connecticut home. He commuted daily, never missing a bedtime story or a chance to rock his daughter to sleep. A generous, legally binding trust was established for Charmaine's son, handled entirely through lawyers, ensuring the child would want for nothing but keeping Charmaine at a firm, non-negotiable distance. Months turned into years. The scandal faded, and in its place, a new story quietly grew on of a man who fought to earn back his family's trust. Elizabeth watched him, not with the blind faith of her youth, but with the careful, hopeful eyes of a woman who had seen the worst and chosen to believe in the best. Their love story wasn't a fairy tale, but a testament to resilience, forgiveness, and the profound, unbreakable bond of a family that refused to be shattered. One evening, as they watched their daughter take her first wobbly steps across the living room floor, Damien looked at Elizabeth, his eyes full of a gratitude so deep it needed no words. She smiled, a genuine, untroubled smile, and knew they were finally home. Thank you for joining us on this roller coaster ride of secret affairs, surprise pregnancies, and unexpected confrontations. If you were as captivated by this tale of love, betrayal, and redemption as we were, please hit the like button and let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Share this video with your friends who crave juicy drama and unforgettable twists. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel, because we'll be bringing you even more riveting stories that shine a light on the hidden scandals lurking beneath the glittering surface of high society. Your support means the world to us, and we can't wait to keep you on the edge of your seat with our next jaw-dropping tale.